This is Mark Goldberg with a watch review of the Tudor Pelagos in blue. Now we're outside, and I'm outside deliberately. We're on my little dog farm here, and we're outside deliberately because this particular watch needs to be seen, I think, in natural sunlight to really do it justice. Now, I have heard other reviews which almost seem to complain about the oversimplicity of the design of this watch. But I'm certain that that's quite deliberate, and I don't think it really fully gives credit to Tudor for the design elements that you see here. So I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on the aesthetics and a little bit less on the technical aspects. The blue is really quite brilliant on the one hand. On the other hand, because it has a matte finish and it's not especially shiny, it's not obnoxious. That's especially true given the fact that this bracelet is titanium, and therefore it has a low sheen. It's fairly gray compared to like the polished center links of a Rolex, for example. This has a 72-hour power reserve, and some people complain about those 5 lines of text there, but heck, I think it gives you something to do in the bathroom, gives you some reading material. So for me, it's not a problem at all, and after you wear this watch for a day or so, you don't even notice that. It's extremely legible, and you can see the sort of the angled chapter ring inside with the cutouts for the applied indices, and there are little hash marks all the way around to indicate the minutes. It's extremely easy to read. Really quite excellent visibility. Everything inside under that sapphire crystal is lumed, and everything on the outer bezel is also lumed. And the typical helium release valve, it's 42 millimeters, so it's fairly sizable. But it wears reasonably small. I think probably because these lugs really hug the wrist. Although it's kind of a chubby watch, it's not difficult to wear. It's not like a deep sea, for example, which rides high. It does not. I really like the integrated crown guards. The crown is extremely easy to grip, and it's signed. This bezel is spectacular. And the sound is just extremely crisp, very bright, sort of like a metallic tink, tink, tink. It's a 60 click. So that gives you a real definitive click in between each minute. I sort of almost prefer 120 click because it can be a little easier to line up. Here I think we're not quite lined up, and one more click we're also a little wrong. But you can come really close. So I don't have a big objection to that. I'm not a diver, but you know, I like to time steaks on the grill, that kind of thing. The clasp on this watch is really quite spectacular. You've got several different micro adjustments that you can make right from the clasp, and if you remove it or pull it out all the way to its as far out as possible, then you can put it into a free floating glide sort of a setting, so that it becomes easy to pull out. Well, much easier when you're not doing it one-handed. There, I've just made it smaller. And now I've pulled it all the way to the free floating position. So if your arm swells up, it'll basically adjust itself in this position. I think that's meant for a wetsuit, but for me that's not really very important. I really like that little Tudor shield that's integrated into the deployment clasp there. Case back, very plain, typical for Tudor and also its big sister Rolex. There's nothing left to chance on this watch. It's extremely beautiful, but it's understated, and that I think is the entire goal. So look up Mies van der Rohe in terms of design. Less is more and more is less, and this really sort of fits the bill there. If you think it's plain, well, then maybe you're a Breitling kind of guy, but I think it's really quite beautiful and understated.